Hi guys, I just wanted to drop in and just have a quick conversation about the importance of recognizing our own need around social connection. Right now we're in a situation that most of us have never lived through, and that is where we are learning how to feel nervous and anxious when we see another human. That's not normal. Our natural response is to, when we feel overwhelmed, when we feel scared, when we feel like we have needs, is to go towards humans, to find comfort, to find nurture, to find somebody to give us some strength. So it's very unusual to train ourselves to feel anxious around people. I just wanted to introduce a continuum, so I'm just going to share it on my screen as the quickest way to do it right now. And this continuum is just there to give us a little bit of a framework around helping us to reflect, how are you right now feeling? You see, on either end we have overwhelm. So on one end we have overwhelm for just feeling too overwhelmed by people, peopled out, we sometimes call it. Just too much people, too many demands, you just feel exhausted and saturated. But on the other end is the feeling of isolation, just abandonment, aloneness. It's really important, particularly in this season, for us and the kids and those that we love, to really spend some time reflecting, just in normal life. How do we get pushed onto either end? How can we stay somewhere in the middle around social engagement, where we feel a sense of aliveness, we feel a sense of just being alive and feeling healthy and connected? Because when we can reflect on what it is that pushes us one way or another, we'll be more able right now to, in this very strange season, have more of a handle on what we need to do to avoid going into overwhelm. So if we recognize that we're the kind of personality who actually needs alone time normally, so I do driving a lot. Usually I have a lot of time on my own. Usually, what do you do? How often do you normally spend on your own? And therefore, what are you actually doing to put into place something right now that enables you to feel less overwhelmed if you're constantly with people? Or do you usually make yourself, are you very proactive around making yourself meet people regularly so that you don't go into that place of isolation and overwhelm? In which case, what are you doing now in this very odd season to continue to enable yourself and facilitate that meeting socially with other people? Because if we're not listening to what our needs are normally, we won't be able to adapt and adjust in this season to what our needs are. We're all different. We all have different things that push us into overwhelm, but the two overwhelming points on either end are really important that we grasp, because we don't want to go into either of those, because they have all sorts of ramifications for us and our children. So be watching with the kids, be watching with the young people. It's abnormal for young people not to kind of jest and tease and kind of wind up each other. That's part of that developmental stage. So when they're not doing it, recognize that they might have to do it with all of us. If you're living with teenagers, it's just a normal part of their development. But how can we help them not go into overwhelm either way, so they don't feel overwhelmed with abandonment and loneliness, but they don't feel over zoomed and over screened out, but they just are somewhere in the middle where we are, hopefully. Just hope that's in some way helpful for us as we're reflecting on how we can stay in a really healthy state for all of us. And I recognize that for many of the kids and young people who are tuning in right now, for those of you who are caring for them, that many of them have got so many additional needs, so many additional emotional fractures that actually could cause this season to be so difficult for you. So I just wanted to give you a tool to use to have a little reflection time on what it is that they're needing. What overwhelm are they coming from? Okay, hope that helps.